Hi everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Today we are going to be working on the Luigi hat. I know there's lots of things going around today. Basically, all of Reddit was just full of Luigi content. So you're going to have more here. Actually didn't, as I was prepping for this, I didn't realize that he had a court date today. So that just turned out to be the way that it was. So that was interesting. I feel like there's more pressure now because maybe now I seem like more of a fangirl or something. But for me, I mean, it's been kind of crazy. But needle felting today. Gonna make a Luigi hat. Just gonna stab this piece of wool right here, kind of already in the middle of it, so you can see that this is a hat. Basically what I did earlier is I carded a bunch of wool, which means I just mixed two different greens together, kind of like this, pulling it together. I didn't have the right green. I thought it was like too bright, so I wanted to like level it down a bit. But today we can really talk about whatever, but it is like an officially a Luigi day. Yeah, he was in court and I can't even imagine. But it's important thing to notice, to talk about. And I think too, like, based on the state of our country right now, it's in the total shitter. So, even though people are like upset that people admire him, and like, innocent until proven guilty, but like people need someone to look up to. They need a hero. Regardless of like what he did, if he did it, whatever, like people see him as a hero and they know his story. And I just kind of want to like say we need some fucking heroes right now for sure. I know lots of people come to Twitch to like totally tune all the news out and like doom scrolling and all that stuff. But for me, like art especially like tends to be a reaction of like how I feel, what I'm feeling, what I see going on. Like definitely done some handmaidens. I've got some commissions there. I also, if you follow my art and painting, you've seen me paint some dogs. So I've got some cute stuff in there too. And I mean, there's nothing uncute about a Luigi hat. So, but basically this is wool and I'm using a needle and I'm stabbing the shit out of this Luigi hat. I started with like kind of just a ball of wool. And the awesome thing about this like hobby, this craft, is that you can really make whatever the fuck you want to. You can literally, I just like rolled it into a ball and I was like, this is the diameter that I want the head to be. And then I even like drew this out earlier. You can see, it's basically just like, that's the hat. This is the brim, so it's the hat's here, the brim, and then it's kind of a side angle of that, of showing like this is how tall the hat's going to be up in the front, and then a little L. The L is going to be definitely the hardest part, but basically what I did was just make sure like, his hat's like pretty voluminous, I would say, in the front part, but above the brim where the L is, it's got to have room for that. So I think that's something that is important. And I make sure that I have a puffy start right here. When you needle felt, you can stab yourself. You can, it also like is basically you're compressing all of this fiber together through this needle it has barbs on it, notches, whatever you want to call it. I need like a macro lens to like show you the actual divots in that needle, but there's like a whole so many different gauges of needles, sizes, what they can do, what they can't do. But for right now, just using like kind of like a medium to fine size needle. I think it's 40 gauge. And you just like literally stab the shit out of this lovely green piece of wool. You can even see there's like some like little flake in it right here. I don't know if you can see that. This is like from a sheep So sometimes little earth pieces get in it. I don't know what it is, but usually anything gross has been like taken out like during that process where like the fleece becomes the wool. So you don't have to worry about that shit. Like it's like literal shit. Like someone I think got a bunch of raw wool or raw fleece once. They said it was pretty disgusting. And I don't really want to have to think about that. So I don't buy raw fleece. I buy wool that's already like been kind of cared for and dyed. And I don't have to worry about gross wool poop on it. I mean, sheep poop. So this is kind of what I did earlier. I just started and really worked on like flattening the one side of the hat. That would be the back. With needle felting, you can like literally sculpt whatever you want. And you just stab over and over and you hope that you don't stab your finger too often. And then this poofy side right here, like it's gonna get compressed like pretty enormously. So I think I read somewhere that was like calculate like that you'll have 30% less of what you started with size-wise. So I can get into trouble with that like quite often. If you see in some of my projects, they tend to be very tiny, and I tend to underestimate the size that I want my guy to be. So then I always have to I just always end up with really tiny projects. So good thing I wear glasses. But it's a lot easier to needle felt with something a little bit bigger. But basically you're just going to like stab this over and over and over again. And I'm going to turn off my notifications. I don't know if anyone can hear that. And you want to kind of flip it sometimes too, just so it doesn't like get too flat. But because one side of this hat is a lot flatter, like that's okay. Like, so it would be like the underside of the hat where the head goes on from Mr. Luigi. You see even more green today in court. It's insane. I think he has already raised over like $500,000. I mean, it's a movement. And I mean, definitely think that healthcare should be totally free. Like, Medicare for all. I know that's not what like the current administration thinks. They pretty much think the exact opposite. Think people are lazy and don't deserve what they call handouts. But I think as people who work hard and just trying to make it every day for themselves and their families, like deserve to not have to have that stress of worried about like what happens when you get sick. Like you should be able to be taken care of. That's just what I believe. And I think that he really represents that. Like whether or not he like did that and whether or not he's guilty, like that's what he stands for. Like, and I mean, people saw that and they're responding to it and resonate with his story. So not to be like too Debbie Downer and stuff, like, but right now is the time to stand up and say something for sure. And this is kind of how I do that. Like just through my art and not through streaming, not on purpose. Just I get angry and aggravated and frustrated by all the shit that's going on right now. And I just, instead of like biting off my nails or like spiraling out into a bad headspace, like needle felting, stabbing of a needle over and over again somehow really helps. Actually, with this one, I just kind of made the back into the front. So I'm kind of liking what that is happening. Put this one off to the side a little bit. This, if you watched me before too, this definitely ends up happening often. So I just kind of jump into a project. I'm like, I'm going to make this and I don't have really a template for it. I'm going to make my own kind of pattern, see how it goes. And then it ends up being something either like totally terrible or something great. Like for example, I was making a Gandalf like one session, but I literally I didn't have the right gray, so I really should have looked into that. I tried to make it with a darker gray, a really dark gray, and put some white into it, and even some lavender, and like it just ends up looking like a marble piece of Gandalf or a Gandalf that's marble, and I didn't really finish the hat either. So that was a first time ever making Gandalf, ever trying to like blend wool colors. So that happens often. So you never know how this Luigi hat will turn out. But I'm kind of already liking the shape. It kind of looks like a weird foot, but I'm liking the like really poofy of the front part of the hat. I don't know what, like here's the bill, and then I don't know what you call that part, and then I can kind of have some of this go down. And I mean, you have to stab this for like pretty long time. Some people like really soft needle felted stuff. If you're adding like different parts to it, like when it comes time to add the L, you're not going to want something like super soft and fluffy, because it's going to be really hard to get that detail to like stand out. Like you'll just end up like smashing the part where the L is if you haven't needle felted, if you haven't poked enough. So you really need to stab a lot to get like firm and have some structure, and then also too, like my toddler could come and pull it apart. I always say that, like she's the QA tester to see if it's got enough grit to withhold her pulling it apart. So, and the brim, I think the brim could be like, I think it's a little shorter. It's not like a full-on baseball hat. Like the brim in the front is like kind of half that size, and you can go around and kind of get that shape. And if you mess up ever with needle felting, like you can start over. You can add wool to wherever you don't like, wherever you feel like needs work, whatever you did that you felt like it's just not good enough or like doesn't look right. You can just add more, or you can take out. Like you can totally just pull wool off things. So I'm probably gonna like mess up a lot of the L, so I'll show you guys like how to take that out if I do mess up, and I have 2 hats now, so that's kind of fun. And one that I just decided to build with the brim on, and that just gets a little harder instead of adding things, because you can't really take off this like brim as easily because it's already like part of the first batch of wool that you had. Whereas this hat, the way that I have it, I'm going to put the brim on this side up here and put the L here, and then the back part of the hat. I think I'll keep working on this guy for right now. If anyone watched me streaming on Monday, I got really stumped by a dog portrait, and that made me pretty angry. But then my very talented artist of a husband tried to draw that dog, and he said it was a challenge for him. So, I'm like off screen, sorry. So I'm like, okay, if he was having a hard time with it, like I don't feel so bad. Let's see, I'm gonna push that down. Another thing you can do if you want certain, like, I don't know what the right terminology is. Like if you want more hat, which there might be need to be more hat in the back, I can add some on. And it's going to really compress in. So, I mean, and I could even fold it up even more to have it be, I think it needs to be a little bit deeper in the back and add, I haven't really examined like a Luigi hat or a Mario hat in like a really long time, so I'm like kind of ad-libbing right now how I think it looks. Maybe I should like pull up a picture on my computer so I can see it. But I think it needs to be a little longer in the back than what it was. This one was a little short. And let's see. There's a Luigi hat. Okay, yeah. So there's like a really big bump in the front and a really small bump in the back, and then the brim is pretty thin. And then there's the L, which is in a circle. So we got the L in a circle. Ow, I keep stabbing myself. There's these little like finger things that you could definitely wear. Maybe I should just go easy on my hand. I just sometimes end up wearing like it on the wrong finger, and then I just like stab other fingers to avoid the finger with this on. So I made it pretty bulbous in the back. So I need to make it even. Like so many decisions. My head's kind of like, you could do this and you could do that. And if any of you guys like to needle felt, maybe you know how that goes. Or maybe you follow more patterns, and so you feel less like there's less options and you're just focused, and that's really good too, because that definitely works. I was on Reddit earlier, and there were like so many Luigi photos. I mean, that guy is like the most photogenic person ever. But I think like my Reddit, like, I don't know, maybe everyone's Reddit's down, but my Reddit couldn't handle it anymore. It like went down, and like the little alien X with the X eyes came up. So there was like, I don't know, you just couldn't handle all the thirsty people out there, because quite a few. He's a very beautiful man. Now I've made this, now I gotta pull it all in. This probably just looks like a very weird alligator mouth or something right now. And I think like needle felting, like you can make it really, really soft, like really soft and squishy, which is totally nice too. You can even like find some even softer wool. This is like pretty coarse. But one mistake in the beginning I learned is that like you can just like kind of lightly poke or lightly stab, but you kind of like want to get in there and like really push. You really want those fibers to like connect. So thrust a little bit more, and you'll feel it like. Now I'm just talking really dirty, but it's like, I don't know, you feel it gets stiffer, more dense, all the dirtiness. That's what happens when you start talking about anyone named Luigi. But like I said, this was going to be the back of the hat. Now I don't. I'm like, oof. I don't know how I feel about it. Oh, my bad. I'm still trying to like track where to like put what do I do with my hands? Where do I put them? So you guys can like see then, so I'm not like off the fucking pad. This pad is like 3 layers. It's kind of excessive. Like I don't really know if I need that much padding, but I like it. It gives me like I'm not like so slumped down when I have like a little bit more of a lift. If any of you guys have back problems, or like me, I have hip problems, are really fun. I think that's one thing that everyone can relate to, unfortunately, with the whole Luigi situation, is that if you've had any chronic pain ever, or just something that like doctors can't figure out, don't really know exactly like what you have, there's not like an exact test for it, like, man, insurance makes that fucking difficult. And like to get the right test, you have to go through a lot of hoops. And if you don't have the right doctor that doesn't believe you, or thinks it's just stress, or like you have an anxiety disorder, so therefore everything you feel is probably just anxiety. You know, like if you have a doctor like that, get the fuck away from them. Like it's not worth it for you to have to justify yourself every time. It's so overwhelming and frustrating, and to just feel like you're a crazy person saying you have pain and like they don't believe you, like that. It's not what someone in pain needs. Like someone in pain needs someone to listen, someone to like say, I want to try to help you. I want to try to find out what is going on with you and like how can we make you feel better. And it's so bizarre, but like that's been like really hard for me personally. So, and the same thing it was like for Luigi, it sounded like as well, like with his back pain and the different surgeries that he had to have to take care of that. And I mean, even to get something like an MRI done, like you have to, like I had to do like PT for it first, and that's really time consuming. If you don't have the right like deductible like or plan, like that can end up costing you a lot. It can be like really frustrating and like just emotionally draining, and then also physical too. Like if you're going to a PT, like they're definitely there to help you, but again, like you have to have the right one that's willing to like listen to you. And if you don't speak the same language about how your pain feels, like that can just be really, really frustrating. And you just kind of want to give up. And you just wish it was easier and you wish it was cheaper. And I mean, that's just like nothing compared to what people have to go through. Like they have like a terminal disease or something like that. So, and that's why we're felting Luigi hats, because it's not right. Healthcare should be for everyone and should be free. And that is part of my rant, but sometimes I tend to have more long-winded rants. And if you came here for cozy or chill, like I did not label that on my stream, so sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, because I tend to be, I guess, not the regular needle felter. Like I love like so many needle felting artists out there. They're doing such amazing things, and a lot of them are just like so cute. And the things that people can come up with, I wouldn't say mine are like the cutest sometimes. I mean, I do think this snake is cute. So if you like the snake, he's like bendable, so I do like him. And so he's cute. And then this weird little guy who's rainbowy, he is cute too. But when things got real serious in the last 30 days, so did my needle felting. But there's a lot of other artists out there that make some like adorable things, like woodland creatures and like beautiful fairies, elves, magical things, just like things that you wish you could see in nature. Like, I think it was a dog who was bird watching. So he had like needle felted binoculars. It was like the cutest thing. But again, you're not going to probably find that with me. Like I've been like needle felting handmaidens to like curtail my rage. And then this right here too. And this is definitely like the Luigi hat to me. It just symbols a lot. I mean, it's obviously like as a gamer, like lots of nostalgia, lots of love. I don't know if Luigi got enough love. Like he's the tall one, so he can definitely like jump higher. He was a really good, like if you've played some of their more recent ones, like he can flutter. No, Yoshi's the fluttering one. But maybe they all can flutter actually in the one where they can be a cat. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Luigi's got talent. Like if you've ever played what's it called? Mario versus Rabbids, which I love. Like I'm like weirdly obsessed with that, and anyone that I've talked to that's played it, like probably like 8 out of 10 people like didn't really like it. But there's like 2 people that are like, yes, that's the best game I've ever played. Thankfully 2 of my friends are super into it as well. So we talk about it often, but Luigi's got some good weapons in there. So it's like a strategy game. It's kind of turn by turn. I'm sure there's already a word that defines exactly what it is, but it's so fun. But he's got like these little robots that like that can bomb things from a distance, which can be helpful because if you're out in the open, like the enemy can get you, and you're like teamed up with like other like the Rabbids and like Mario characters, and you always have to use fucking Mario, which is really annoying because I don't really like his weapons are fine. I don't think he's as special as some of the other ones, but like Yoshi, he's all right too. But like Rabid Peach, I think, or Rabid Yoshi is great. I really like Luigi. He's got his little robot bomb robot. And then he also has like a pretty good blaster too. So I need to make this brim like a lot thinner. So I'm looking at his thin brim. Let's see. Make this brim thin. And then we're going to have to do the L. And the circle will be fine. Like, we can do the circle. The L is going to be such a pain in the ass. Like, I already can tell. So I don't know how many times I'm going to do it. And I've never practiced this design before. This was very much like a whim earlier in the week where I was like, I'm fucking mad. This country is insane. And fuck. Like, I was enraged. And I just felt like something to do to take a stand, say something, show up, just communicate with even just two people that this is not okay. This is not what America is and what it should be. So, and I just felt like a Luigi hat would be a good way to express that and what it stands for these days. Just like taking care of other people. And everyone deserves that, no matter who you are, how old you are, whatever gender you are, like no matter how much money you have, like money should not be like the pass to like get care. It's just not right. It's not humane at all. Luigi hat. Okay, you can see like here too that like when you felt stuff and you put the needle all the way through, like one like basically what was happening was that was probably happening. So up here it gets a little crazy. So you kind of have to refine that, or you can see like some lines of fiber and wool are like that have attached from the bottom to the top are too obvious, so I need to push them back in with this needle. And if you like making sculptures, if you like working with clay or molding things, this is like the clean version of that. This one's like the less messy. What's weird though is my dog really loves eating this wool. Like, I think it's maybe because it's like an animal byproduct, like it's like from a sheep, like, so he like gets the scent. So he's like really, really into like the wool that I have. So I have to make sure that it's not available for him, because if I leave anything out, so it is like you need some storage if you have wool, because then if you just have like puffs of wool everywhere, like that's gonna make your house a big mess. So I have to put mine away. So I have some storage containers for it, that like you can display your wool like pretty nicely too. You can see the colors that you have while you're just looking at your boxes of it. I'm definitely one of those creatives that like has to see everything, like has to keep all tabs open, or else I forget about it. I have to, even when I go to grocery shopping, has to like have that food out on display so I will remember to eat it. I think that's the ADHD thing though. So I definitely need to work on that a bit. But yeah, for creative, like I can't have my like tools away, like they need to be showing in some way, but you still need to be able to organize them, or else your wool will get everywhere, your dog will eat all the wool, your dog will get sick. Like, I don't want any of that, because vet bills are fucking crazy expensive, even just like check-ins. I don't understand that. Like, we love them, they're ours, we just adore our pets, but like, holy mackerel. It's like just for a checkup, it's like $150, or like the fucking medicine, like for heartworms and ticks, which everyone needs, but like it's so damn expensive. I don't know if anyone is old enough, but like back in the day, like, well, there's some forms of medication, obviously, and birth control are still very expensive, but they've been a lot closer to free recently, and I just remember even having to pay for that monthly was a lot. So a vet bill, like, oof, that was a hard thing to stomach, but we love our animals. We need to take care of them. So let's see. So I think, like, what do we think of this hat? Like, the brim is kind of coming together. I still think it could be thinner. I need to make a flatter space, I think, for the circle and the L, or else it'll be really small. Like my area, my real estate for putting that circle down there, which again, this is what I tend to do, is underestimate how much wool I need, and then I make it too small. And then I'm making like micro mini felts, which I mean is cool, but like it's harder. I guess I'll get better faster. I can still use that brim, could use some curving. It's like a wider, shorter brim. It's weird to not have the Luigi face, because if I had the Luigi face, then I maybe would feel a little bit better about the hat. Maybe the hat needs to be like wider on the sides. I don't know. But for the sake of time and to show you guys like how to do the cool parts, I guess I should probably work on that. Let me do it on this bigger one up here, because I think that's going to be a lot easier to just show you. And we'll do the L. So you got to stab the shit out of it like so many times. But for me, it's like super relaxing. I love it. It's just like monotonous, and like you can kind of zone out. And you can even watch TV. You just have to watch out for your fingers and make sure you like don't fucking stab yourself, because I've definitely like, it's been dangerous. Definitely had needed some band-aids after some events where I was just like paying too much attention to the TV. I think I had Peaky Blinders on, and I think I needed the subtitles because I could not understand them with their accents. So because I was reading subtitles and needle felting, I definitely stabbed myself a few times, which is why this little thumb thing, this thumb covering, is like super important. Okay. Ow. And I can show you another way to make the brim too. So I kind of have my, like, that's, oh, it like actually ended up being that size. Oh, that's cool. Another cool thing about needle felting is literally like you can just draw out your shapes. And like if you don't understand how set objects are actually just like a bunch of shapes, that's a really good thing to learn. It's definitely like the fundamentals of like drawing and painting, is to be able to like take shapes and like looking at a body or something like that, understanding all the shapes that it takes to make that. So, and all the little shapes that you can make to make a hat, you can put them together and they're a hat. Okay. So with needle felting, you always want to make like one edge, if you can, like unfelted, because then it's going to be so much easier to attach your felted piece to what you want. So I'm going to just, this is a little bit of a different technique, because on like a rounded piece, you would want to like keep flipping your wool over so it doesn't like flatten on one side. It's kind of like a baby's head. If you don't rotate it enough and practice your neck exercises as a you, I'm being really serious, like that's the thing. your baby's head will get flat on one side because it's been laying on it too long. So you have to rotate it. So that's what I always think about when I'm rotating my needle felted circular shapes and 3D shapes. But this is a brim of a hat, so it's going to be a lot flatter. So I don't need it to be like well rounded on both sides. It should be well rounded on this curve, obviously for the brim, but I need it to be flatter on top. Oh fuck, got me. Okay, so when you've done it enough to like kind of retain the shape, you can then flip it because you don't want it to get attached, because this mat that I'm using, this pad, this is just like felt, so it could actually like merge with your piece, and you don't want that because then when you rip it off, it looks real ugly. I'm gonna put move. And you just stab the shit out of this brim. Oof, my table's like shaking. This desk is kind of old. Like, maybe you should put heavier things on it or something to make it not as shaky. Or maybe someone likes to look at the rattling. Sorry. It's not the best. Okay, and I'm going to flip it again. Making brims. Some people use like irons or hair straighteners to really flatten out like thin pieces like this. Totally fine, like not cheating. It's a really, really good hack to learn how to do. I'm just lazy, and I'm also a little forgetful. So if I left like an iron on or a hair straightener, that would not go over well. So I tend to not use heated items. As much as I can avoid it, I try. But it's also good for getting like the little fluff or like flyaways. If you can't cut them off and you want like a smoother finish, and you don't like the little straggly wool strands, which I think can be really endearing. Like sometimes it just depends on like how you want to show off your work, like your style, where you're putting your finished piece. If your piece is going to be like a keychain and it's going to be out and about, like you want it to be really thick and have a lot of structure and be firm and not have a ton of flyaways, because that could like catch on or like just start pulling and it just like doesn't look as nice. But if it's just like something on the shelf, like a little desk buddy or something, and you kind of like the scruffy look, like, or you're doing something like a dog and you want a lot of hair, that's totally fine. Like you make whatever the fuck you want. Okay, so let's see what situation we are with this hat. So this is a pretty big brim. I'm like, did I make it too big? That's fine because we'll push it in. And if we think it's too big, then we can make the top of the hat a little bit bigger. We'll just go for it. See what that looks like. I mean, technically, I think it's okay. Like, I am my worst critic for the most part. Oh, another cool trick is if you're just like, hey, I don't want to like worry about bending the bill, the beak, later. I want to make sure it's not just like flat. You can just bend it and then start, or you can always use a little like sewing pin or something if you don't want to have your hands right there, and you can just like have it held down like that. And that just helps hold the shape. And the great part about this is when you needle felt anything, it like ends up holding the shape the way that you are holding it. So if I wanted to make this even curvier and like really hold it in, like I just do that, and then the fibers attach and knot up with each other, and then they just retain their shape the more you felt it. This is my man Luigi, numero dos. I always kind of like Luigi better than Mario, to be honest. felt like he was taller. He could jump further. Mario just got real small. And I think I'm a little biased because my favorite color is green. So I wasn't as into the red. And I think also, like, when you're not like the only kid in the house that wants to play, like, you never get your like first choice. So kind of just have to deal with whatever you get. Yeah, this is like a very baseball hatty, so it's a little too long. Luigi baseball hat. That's okay. Few things. What we could do is we could hold. Oh shit! I now have that needle. That would be bad. Just like even a fucking needle. And I'm gonna put him in my turtle. Go back to the turtle. Don't give gifts with needles in them. That's what's another thing when you don't want to like bust a needle. I just heard some like cat scream outside or something. Like that was crazy. There have been cat brawls in my neighborhood. So it's not unlikely that they might be gunning for each other. Okay. And if I decided that I like just hated this and it was too flat and too long, I could just literally rip it off. And then I could just start over and it would be totally fine. And then you can just like push down. That's what's great. It's not like a canvas that's just covered in paint and you just can't stand it. It's like you can kind of delete. And I mean, it does add like a ton of time to your projects though. If you've been like needle felting a hat brim for like 30 minutes and you're like, I fucking hate it, I want to take it off, and you do, like that sucks because they have to start over. But as just being me, I kind of like this type of stuff that just like do-overs and just like getting really zoned in on like one little tiny fine detail. Like it's kind of my jam. So okay, so what do we got? We got this hat brim sort of coming together. It's still really flat. I didn't do it enough brim. But you don't want to like don't bend the needle inside of something. If you don't like the shape, like you're just like, you could either pull it off or you just got to hold it. And then, but don't bend the needle inside because like I was saying like forever ago, you don't want to get the needle stuck inside something because then one day, who knows, it might come out. And you really don't want to fucking get stabbed with something you forgot was even in there. Okay. It might be some teenagers outside having a good time on a Friday. I mean, I'm having a good time on a Friday. Now my dog is making weird snoring noises too, so all the noises. And I don't know if you guys can like hear. I think the closer my mic gets to like me needling, maybe the closer you'll be able to hear the stabby sounds. I was watching like Love is Blind last night, and this guy was like, are you tapping to this one girl? And like she was tapping with her nails, and then she started tapping something else, and he was like, are you still tapping? I thought that was very like weird. And like, let the girl tap her fingers if she wants to, and if it annoys you, like I just don't think, are you tapping like it's gonna really, she might not realize that it annoys you. She might be just doing it to like decompress, and like let her do that, dude. Like I don't know, I guess if you are sensitive to noise and like repetitive sounds and stuff like that would suck, but like, you could go about it in like a totally different way. I thought he was being like very rude. And he could have just been like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. I know that you do that to like maybe like just relax, but like, I just like can't handle it right now or something. I don't know. Just like not what he did. Not cool. I don't know if anyone watches Love is Blind, but it's very entertaining. And it is the craziest, even especially from season 1 when it's like you'd never see anything like that before. And also I think their contracts were like really severe and they didn't let their contestants like have much of a say in like anything. So now I think it's a little bit more like if you don't want to be in it and you don't like the person you're dating, like you can get out of it because there was a bunch of lawsuits. So but season 1 was kind of like you have to stick it out the whole time and you have to like be at the altar. Like you can't cop out beforehand. And holy shit, like that was stressful to even watch, knowing that like some people were just like not going to make it and it was almost like torture for them and not so much for the audience because, you know, we all get off on that kind of stuff. So at least the people that watch it. But it's definitely an interesting concept. It's crazy to see the results. Some people really just like hit it off and that works for them. I always feel bad for like the introverts that like clearly look exhausted by the pods and even some that like I remember one guy got out of a pod and like he just stopped talking for like a few days and I was like, dude, like that dude is so introverted. He went to this experience and had to talk straight to like 1 million people for like 2 weeks, like in these weird pods, and that's the only way you could interact. Like body language, like actions, like none of that stuff mattered. It was like only verbal. Like I'm sure he just wished like he never did that and needed like he probably needed a week to like decompress. But yeah, that did not help his relationship. It pretty much shut the whole thing down. So that was crazy. That was a while back though, so I feel like I'm not spoiling anything recent. And I will never forget season 1 of Love is Blind, and some girl had her dog like drinking out of her wine glass, and it was so offensive. Like, okay, that's fine. My husband is in the chat telling me that his game is going to go late. That's totally fine. I use my phone as my second camera, so he can't really text me. I wouldn't see it. And he's not in my iMessages because he has an Android. Okay, get in this hat. I should say you should get your friends to come see the LUIGI hat if they're still on too. They can give me feedback because I definitely don't think it's like the right total shape. I made a really mini one though. It's very tiny by accident. Yeah, the teenagers that live near us like get real rowdy, guys. Like real rowdy. I always get concerned. This brim is all sorts of wrong. All sorts of wrong in the shape and everything. It's funny. This is the trial. Oh, I can't. Mm-hmm. It is all sorts of wonky, but that's fine because this is the trial version. This is the first go at the LUIGI hat. You guys get to see my trial and error. Okay, so he's got his brim. Oh, God. His bill. Is it a brim or is it a bill? I don't really know. Right now, from the side, it just looks like a fucking shoe. It definitely needs to be like thinner. Maybe I can put more. See, sometimes this ends up like just making your project like bigger and bigger and bigger. But that's always fun too. I mean, it's like a constant challenge. It's just like, how are we going to make this look exactly how I want to? And it can get really like tedious and like kind of just iterative in a way that maybe it doesn't need to be, but in a way that makes me feel fine and good. So I'm fine with that. And I have time because my husband's computer game, whatever he's playing, is going long. So I stream longer. And I can make this fucking Luigi hat. For Luigi. And free healthcare. Medicare for all. Medicare for all. And Medicaid too, man. Don't get fucking rid of it. Like, oh, what the fuck? Like, people... it just... So many people in power that just have zero empathy and, like, have no knowledge of what it means for some people to suffer. Like, they just don't have any connection to that, and they've removed themselves so much from it, and they're just greedy a-holes that want to amass as much wealth as possible at the cost of so much, at the cost of fucking people dying and saying, oh, like that surgery or that transplant is like not life-saving, so you don't need it, even though your doctor just told you you need it because you, like, it's just fucking, are you kidding me? Like, that doctor knows why they prescribe that and why they think that that's gonna like save someone. Like, they don't just like tell insurance, they're not trying to rip insurances off. Like, okay, sorry. Rant. Okay, so the brim is shorter. The brim is shorter because I added more bulk to the front where I'm going to put the L. And it's like, it also needs to like, oof, kind of bulky. Okay, so the hat like really, not only is it tall, it's also kind of pointy. So like one of my sides is like weird AF. Doesn't make any sense. But I definitely got to get the sides in to make it a little bit more like triangular at the top. Oh, now looking at the shape like online, guys, like there's so many things I maybe would have done differently. Like maybe I would have changed up how the order of the shapes that I did, the type of shape. I might have just like wanted to put a more triangular like mountain on top of the hat, flat hat, instead of doing it this way, which I don't even really recall how I started it. There's a piece of gunk. But that is part of the adventure of your first project or first take on a project. You could do it a million times and each one is just going to be like a little different. And I read there's something called like, I think it's Fiero or something, that you get this feeling of when you finish something that's just like the best thing ever. And you just feel amazing because you finished it. This is definitely how I feel. And even if it's like I do 12 Luigi hats, like each one is going to feel like I accomplished something. And it's pretty cool. Okay. So his hat. Okay, so now I want to take down the sides a little bit so it makes it more triangular at the top, more of a point, but a curvy point. Okay, and I'm going to start like making sure that area where I'm going to put the circle is like very stiff, because if it's not, then the circle and the L are just going to kind of make it collapse. And we don't want that. We're going to want to put this side down a little bit. So I've been thinking about doing some like tutorials that I put online. But also I don't know, because I mean, they could do well. Like lots of people do them. Like lots of artists have tutorials, lots of shops have tutorials. It's definitely like a great way to just like educate people, get people obviously like to feel good about you, establish like trust that you're a good company that knows what they're doing and wants to help you perfect whatever craft you've got going. They've got good tips. They make it all easy. There's obviously it's entertaining, but it's just a different type of engagement, I guess. Like, it's not live, and not like I'm talking to a ton of people here, but like the people that are in here are the ones that matter. And I like it. I don't know. It just feels more connected. Also, it doesn't feel like it has to be perfect. And I definitely have like perfectionist tendencies. And I feel like if I don't know, I would definitely have to try it out to see how I feel about it. But I kind of know that I would spend a lot of time on a tutorial. But maybe I'd have to use like ChatGPT or something for like writing the script and helping me just like make sure that I don't overdo it. Give me some guardrails maybe. It's a poofy hat. It's a poofy hat. And I'm making something like stiff. So it's kind of like, I think I want to round it out a little bit more. Like give it some like on the sides, like a little balls. Yeah, to kind of make it rounded. I think that'll help, but let's do the L. So I can show you guys that. Yes, children are yelling outside. That's great. Screams. That's what I like to hear. So I think these like evil men that are running our government, like the shitter, like it's like, do they feel like totally excited about every horrible thing that they do? Gives them like some sort of sense of accomplishment. They know they're fucking over tons of people who don't deserve it. I just wonder what it's like to be someone that like lives off of that vibe and like okay with lying, not feeling guilty or bad about it. Like they're just like, oh hey, like sure, I'll take that talking point. I don't really believe it, but it's gonna give me more power, so I'm gonna say it. Just like, holy shit, dude. Okay, now we're gonna do our circle. And with this kind of thing, you can kind of indent like where the circle is gonna be, which is obviously in the middle. Making my little dents with my needle. Okay, kind of know where it needs to go. Oh, got some black in there. Pull that black out. Get that black out. Okay. There's some red in it too. Damn it. It's like keeping your whites really nice. And wool, your white wool, that's hard. A talent in itself. Because I just let them all like commingle together. And then they're like, here's a strand of red. Here's a strand of orange. Like, fuck. How much? That's like a big circle. It's bigger than what I think it is. And you just like press this shit in here. And you kind of pull the way that you want it to be the circle. You could do a circle beforehand and you could do a flat circle, kind of like how I did the brim if you wanted to. But again, like I kind of like this. And that would make it really flat. Like this is no guarantee that it's going to be like super flat. So you just kind of have to hope that you like level out the wool the way that it needs to be, and it doesn't end up being like this big ball that's like poofing off of it. But a little poof never hurt. That sounded weird and dirty. I don't know if it is. Okay, coming into a circle. Okay, it's looking a little bit better, right? Because it's like, it's taking the sense that it is a Luigi hat. I don't want to fuck this up, but I'm kind of want to... There we go. I want to get it in the middle. And you just start pushing it in. Push, push, push. So I'll probably pick a bad time for streaming on a Friday when like RuPaul is on. But I don't know if it's super popular on here. But maybe for my target audience it is. But I just record it and watch it later. Because my parents have cable, and then I use their cable app. I can record things there. The circle is coming together. Yay! The big circle. Yeah, it would have been really hard on this little tiny dude that I was making earlier. Like, really glad I did. I decided to not focus on that one. So it would be just hard for you guys to see, hard for me to do on my first go. I wouldn't feel as accomplished. I probably would have had to redo it a ton too. Might still have to redo this one, this L a lot, but at least with the circle, feeling good. Really glad I'm wearing this thumb thimble condom thing. I just felt a stab. Okay. Be a circle. Be a good looking circle. Be pretty. Okay. It's feeling nice and stiff. I could pull the green towards the white to kind of get rid of some of the bumpy sides of the circle. Nice. Make sure it's well defined. Stabbing through. Really bummed I ate all my Girl Scout cookies. Like, what am I going to have something sweet tonight to eat? Okay, I think that's good enough for a circle for right now. So we're going to do the L in green. So this will be a really big experiment. I'm going to use an even higher gauge needle. It's just better for finer details. Okay, so there's like a few different ways we can do this. We can just block it out with some sewing needles if we wanted to. Let's make sure we have that perfect L. I don't think I want to do it that way. So what you can do is then take some thread, twist it, put it a place that you feel comfortable with. Push the green in, and we're just gonna push. We're gonna wing it. Some people like draw it out on here. Some people make it off, maybe. I'm just going for it because that's usually how I do things. Just like see what this is gonna look like, and you just push. Like with a lower gauge needle, like this wouldn't be as easy to like push things through, and like this just doesn't even feel like I'm working, which is nice. Just pushing this green through. Okay, might be a little thick of an L. And then I want it to can twist it a little bit more. That 90-degree, like, L, that will be hard. We can do this though. We can do it. And like if you want to push the green out, like towards the white, you do that. If you want to make it this green part thinner, you push the white towards the green. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I want to come down straight. And I think I need to push this green in more and up more. And then again, like this is super easy to get just stuck on and like try to twist your wool a certain way, and then you can like really, then that's what leads to like broken needles. So you want to make sure you're still pushing your needle in straight and pulling it out straight. Words to live by. Let's see. Pushing that green in. Making the L for Luigi. Hero status. The superhero we all didn't know we needed. Okay. Pushing in this L a little bit more. It's very uneven. Like, it's very thick on the drop down. I know that in typography there's a certain word for that, but I don't know that. Or you can pull back and go backwards. You can even pull that out. Pull that motherfucker out. Get that green up. Okay. Okay. Luigi. Let's see. How much of a 90-degree angle do you think I can get with a little fucking needle? Whew. The focus. Oh, I'm gonna sit up straight. Come back to this point. I'm like, can I get it totally squared out, off? I don't know. We will see. Making this work. The L, it's always the hardest part. Like the faces, the things you do last, because you're like a little exhausted and you're like, ugh, I need a break. But you're like, but I'm working on the part that matters the most. Like the face gives it like the spirit, the life, the personality. This L obviously defines what the fuck this is. It's not just a green blob with a circle. It's a fucking hat. It's not just anyone's hat. It's Luigi's hat. He's a symbol of hope. He's a good brother. It's always there for Mario's shenanigans. But also just a hero we just, didn't know we needed, but we need him. And like, he's just very good looking. Takes away from all of my other arguments. But it's so true. But oh no, like, it's a class war, guys, and people deserve free healthcare. And because it should be a human right. Everyone benefits from it. It's my thought about that. And I'm making a Luigi hat to represent my thoughts. I could definitely use some more work ironing this one out. You can pull some white in with like a stronger needle. Like I already feel like that one's about to break. So you can just drag white over to then make it less curvy. You could also like embroider this if you wanted to with like some thicker thread, like so you don't have to do this crazy part and you can keep it straighter. But again, finer details, really tough, but really good to practice. I love to avoid them. That's why I have many unfinished projects, because because it gets to the part that I like the least, and I'm like, oof, just deal with that later. But I see a lot of places that I can refine this L. But I think you guys get the gist. My little Luigi hat. Thanks for joining. I hope you guys have a good weekend and get some rest and just take a break when you need it. Obviously, great place to express any sort of feelings you have is through art. So